The American system is not stable. It's not sustainable. And despite the flashy lights, record stock market highs, and manufactured optimism, deep inside, everyone knows something is deeply wrong. The truth is, we're not avoiding collapse. We're mid-collapse. What we're witnessing now is a slow motion fall cushioned only by illusion, distraction, and digital dopamine. And if you're still living like the system is solid, dependable, and recoverable, you're asleep at the wheel of a burning car. Let's start with the basics. The United States government is over $34 trillion in debt. That's not just a number. That's more than the entire US GDP. That means if we took everything the country makes in a year, every product, every service, every paycheck, every transaction, and gave it to the federal government, it still wouldn't cover the debt. And worse, we're borrowing just to pay the interest. In 2024, we passed $1 trillion per year in interest payments alone. That's over $3 billion per day paid to banks, foreign nations, and investors just to keep pretending the machine is still running. Where's that money coming from? The answer is simple. The Federal Reserve is creating it out of thin air. This process, known as quantitative easing, is just a fancy way of saying we're inflating the money supply to delay the inevitable. It's modern alchemy. But unlike ancient gold, this alchemy decays value. It dilutes every dollar in your bank account. Since 2020 alone, over 40% of all US dollars in existence were printed. Let that sink in. Almost half of the money in circulation today did not exist just 5 years ago. And you wonder why groceries, rent, and gas are off the charts? But this isn't just about the economy. The entire governmental structure is built on sand. Congress is dysfunctional. Executive agencies operate like private kingdoms. Lobbyists write the laws, and both political parties are little more than competing brands of the same broken oligarchy. We don't have representation. We have regulatory capture. Just look at how banks write banking laws, how Big Pharma funds the FDA, how defense contractors shape foreign policy. The military-industrial complex isn't a conspiracy theory, it's a business plan, and every war, every conflict, every arms deal is profit. Then there's the dollar itself. Once, the undisputed king of global trade. But now, BRICS nations, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa are actively moving to de-dollarize. They're building alternatives to SWIFT. They're trading oil in yuan. They're launching gold-backed settlement systems. The petrodollar, which for decades forced the world to buy oil with US currency, is unraveling. And when the world no longer needs our money to buy oil, the dollar will lose global demand. That's when the inflation we export to other countries comes flooding back home. This is the real reason why central bank digital currencies, or CBDCs, are being quietly developed. They are not about innovation. They're about control. They represent a new financial cage where every transaction is tracked, every purchase can be denied, and your access to money can be restricted at will. It's programmable currency in a surveillance state, and it will be sold to the public using the same language they always use: safety, equity, and fighting crime. But make no mistake, this is digital feudalism. Meanwhile, America's social fabric is tearing apart. Trust in government is at historic lows. Crime is rising in cities hollowed out by bad policy and hopelessness. The media, both mainstream and social, have turned into psychological operations. Divide and distract. Manipulate and medicate. Keep the population emotionally occupied while the pillars of the system are sawed off behind the scenes. This isn't incompetence, it's deliberate mismanagement. So what happens next? The cycle is simple. Debt spirals lead to either default or hyperinflation. Default means the US admits it can't pay and the global financial system implodes. Hyperinflation means the government keeps printing, destroying the dollar's value until it's worth less than the paper it's printed on, which it already is. Either outcome ends the current order, and in that chaos, a reset will be proposed. A new system, likely global, where your digital identity, health records, carbon footprint, and money are merged into one centralized control hub. They will call it progress. They'll call it the solution. But it will be a prison dressed up as utopia. This isn't fear-mongering. It's forecasting, based on math, history, and human nature. Empires don't last forever. Currency systems collapse every few generations. Governments rot under the weight of their own corruption. We're not special. We're just next. So what can you do? Unplug from the illusion. Reduce your dependency on centralized systems. Learn a trade. Grow your own food. Build a network not of followers but of real allies. Move towards sovereignty, not comfort. Build parallel systems, decentralized tech, barter, off-grid living, local food co-ops. Because when the collapse hits, and it will, the ones who survive and thrive will not be the ones who had the most dollars. They will be the ones who stopped believing the dollar was their god. Wake up. The empire is falling. Don't get crushed underneath it. Be the fire that rises from the ashes.